Tell me about a time that you got to witness karma in action and you were truly satisfied.
So, when I was in college, I had this boyfriend in Spain. And I visited him, I met his parents, and I came back. Not long after my departure, he started acting weird. And you know exactly where I'm going with this? Yeah, he admitted to sleeping with 2 other girls. So, no biggie. But of course it broke my heart, I felt very hurt, yada yada yada, all the stuff. So, important note, I was studying Latin in college. And at this part of the semester, we were translating an excerpt from Ovidius. And I get the part where there was something like, if there are any gods, show me the sign and punish this man, because of course the girl was wronged by the man. Duh. I started crying and then I got the message. This guy's parents kicked him out of the house.
So I had this ex-best friend in high school, and in the middle school I had never really dated anyone. That was kind of her thing. I was always, just chilling by myself or whatever. And so I got to high school and, it was senior year and I finally fell for this guy, and for some reason it just made her mad. I made her annoyed. I don't know. So she was mad about it, and one day she's like, I'm not gonna bring you with me to lunch anymore because you're always trying to rush me to get back to campus. And I was like, dude, like, we're late literally every single day to the same class, and I'm racking up tardies because of this. And she got mad at me and she was like, no, you just want to get back to class so you can be with him, because we had our 3rd period together. But her teacher never counted her tardy, so she could be late anytime, every time. But me, when I got tardies, they would rack up and I'd have to go to Saturday school. So she got mad at me or whatever. So she left me one particular day. They went to lunch. They were going to be late. So she was going 60 and like a 25, and she got pulled over by the cops. And when she got to class, the teacher counted her tardy.
Early in the pandemic, I was furloughed from my job, not my current job, former job. And I was told that my salary was too much for the company to afford at the time. There were too many losses due to COVID, the whole nine. I get it. While I was furloughed, my boss asked if I could help just a little bit with the social media of the company. It was a very small business, so I was like, yeah, of course. Rule number 1, learn from my mistake. Never work for free, ever. Never. Fast forward, it's the last month of my furlough. Like I was told, you'll be back on X date. We'll say May 1st, and it's before April. My grandma gets very sick, and I tell her, hey, I'm so sorry I can't help anymore. I need to do stuff for my family, and I'll be back on that May 1st date. I will see you then, but until then, I prepped social media in advance for you, like, thank you, blah, blah, blah. She's like, do what you need to do. I will see you then. We'll meet beforehand to discuss, like, I-9, getting back on the payroll, all that. 2 weeks later, I get a message from a person that still works for the company, and they're like, you need to hear this. She hired 2 interns for your job and is not planning on hiring you back. So I get an email from former boss saying, hey, let's meet next week to discuss like your return, blah, blah, blah. Now, if I hadn't gotten that warning, I would have just thought that it was like I-9 stuff, figuring shit out. But thankful for this other employee. So I'm prepped and ready to go. I get on the call. My boss instantly starts crying. And she's like, I just realized that like your role was 2 people and like I'm heartbroken, but like maybe I can offer you something part-time. And I'm like, that's not how a furlough works, baby. Like, no. So I like collected myself and was like, can you stop crying? This is my employment, not yours. Like, I don't know why you're crying. I just need you to write an official letter that you're laying me off and pay me out for the PTO that was never paid out because I was furloughed and supposed to come back. And just get it wrapped up. Like, that's fine. When I tell you she was stunned, she like did not expect that. She expected me to like come back and work part-time and all that. But I'm like, no, like I am a salaried employee. A furlough means you're bringing me back or laying me off. Boom. So I await her email. Don't get anything that night. The next day, I had a pre-made email of just like, hey, awaiting this from you. I CC'd my personal email. I CC'd her accountants and her lawyer. And then I get a text and it's her being like, hey, do you have 15 minutes to talk? No. Get everything in writing. That's lesson number 2. I then don't respond and I get another text saying, I'll email you in a sec. I get an email. It's not on that same thread with everybody I CC'd about like her laying me off the day before and like giving me my paperwork. No. It's a separate thread with just me. She let me know that 5 minutes after she did that, the employee that gave me that warning quit on the spot, day of. And that was her operations manager. And it was like she was the only other person. So this woman was now stuck with 2 interns that were untrained, 0 support, and immediately tried to come back to me. And I was like, no. I know to others it may seem anticlimactic, but to me it was just perfect karma.
So when I was in high school, my vice principal did not like me, and she did not like me because of a grudge that she held with my mother. Apparently, she taught at and or worked at the college that my mother went to, and her and several students filed a complaint about a particular teacher not teaching, and basically she got let go. So as a high school principal, she decided to take this anger out on me. Now, while I was in high school, I was on the National Honor Society, the Junior Beta Club. I was the battalion commander of my ROTC. I ran track. I ran cross country. I was on the varsity wrestling team. You know, I was very active in my high school. But one day I got off the bus late. A teacher wrote me a note so I could go through breakfast because they had bus passes, and she suspended me for forgery because she stated that she knew for a fact that my bus had been there and that I should have went to breakfast when I had time. And yeah, that was forgery, even though the note, like the teacher vouched for me and said, yes, I wrote this note for her to eat breakfast so she could come to class with a full stomach. But anywho, I remember, trying to appeal it. My mother came up there and talked to her about it, and I had to take my suspension, sit down, whatever. And I told this woman, I was like, ooh, I hope before I graduate I watch you either fall down some stairs or fall down the hill. And I saw both of them. So the first instance, she actually ended up getting fired before I graduated high school. But the first instance, she got into an altercation with a young man and his mother, and the mother smacked fire at her ass in front of the office, and she rolled down those stairs. And I was coming out of the cafeteria, and I saw it. I was like, ah! So yes, I entered that meal house and laughed at her at that moment. And then the second time, she was trying to break up a fight around where the buses were, and there was a steep hill down to the block house where the weight room and the wrestling room was. And her trying to break up that fight resulted in her tumbling down that hill. And I was there for that as well. And when I tell you justice was served, oh, my soul never smiled so hard.
Tell me about a time that you got to witness karma in action and you were truly satisfied.
Some lady cut in front of me in line with her mask below her nose, and her self-checkout machine ended up being a dud.
Okay, this is going to be a good one. I was 19 or 20 years old, and I was working at the Pizza Hut buffet. So we had 3 college students, 3 girls come in, and they sat down, and they were super rude to me. They were complaining about the food, complaining about the drinks, making a huge mess. I went behind the counter and cried because, I hadn't built up tough skin and working in food service and customer service just yet. And I was telling my manager, I can't wait till they leave. And when they left no tip on the table. You're talking about working for $2.13 an hour, and the table was a mess. I was like, I'm going to clean this up last. Let me work on some things behind the counter. Now, we had a homeless guy that used to come in after lunch to get the leftover pizza from off the buffet because we were going to throw it away. That particular day, I couldn't give him anything because I wasn't even in the mind space to try to be helpful. So he came in and he went straight to the table I didn't clean yet. And I was like, no, you can't take nothing off the table. Don't take nothing off that table. And when I said that, he ran out the door. And I was like, okay, that's usually not what he does. Well, let's just say an hour later, the girls came back in and one of them was crying hysterically. Well, she just got her college money back. And $1,700 was in her pocketbook that she left at that booth. So me putting 2 and 2 together, I didn't say it to her, but I did tell the manager, like, hey, the homeless guy came in and ran out. I think he might have taken her pocketbook. So this heifer gonna turn around and blame me for her pocketbook missing. And I'm like, girl, first of all, I haven't even been over to that table just yet. And she left that restaurant without her pocketbook and her money. Despite them treating me badly, I really hated that happened to that girl because I don't know what else she had to take care of. But that just goes to show you, you need to be careful about how you treat people because karma is real and she can often move quickly.